Welcome to Connect Devs, the world's smartest hiring engine.
You know, when it comes to hiring, there's this huge fundamental disconnect. On one hand, companies are absolutely drowning in applications. It's like a tidal wave of resumes. But on the other, finding the right person, that one perfect fit, feels harder than ever. It seems like the more volume we get, the harder it is to find any real value. So let's explore a framework that's really designed to fix that, built on something we'll call hiring intelligence. I mean, we've all been there, right? Playing resume roulette. You get a candidate who looks absolutely perfect on paper. They've got all the right keywords, the right experience, but then they get into the interview, and the reality just doesn't match up. It's a total gamble. And it makes you wonder, why are we still gambling on our most important asset, our people? It's time to start making these huge decisions based on actual evidence, not just pretty descriptions. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to pinpoint the big flaw in today's hiring model. Then we'll introduce a totally new methodology, one that's centered on intent and real hard evidence. We'll see how that new approach makes hiring smarter, faster, and just broader. And this is crucial. We'll talk about the foundation of trust this all has to be built on before we look ahead to what the future of finding great talent really looks like. All right, let's dive into section 1, volume over value. This really gets to the heart of the problem, the fact that our hiring systems, for the most part, were built for a totally different world, and they're just not keeping up anymore. The old way of hiring is just chaos. You post a job, you cross your fingers, and you just react to whatever the internet throws at you. It's this manual, slow, painful process of sifting through mountains of resumes. But a modern approach flips that whole thing on its head. It's proactive. You start by deeply understanding the true intent of the role, and then you use intelligence to find the signal in all that noise. It's a workflow that's actually designed for how we work today. So the big question is, how do we actually do that? Well, it all starts with a new methodology, one that redesigns the entire workflow around two really key concepts: role intent and hard evidence. It really does all start with this idea of role intent. And this goes way, way beyond just matching keywords on a resume. This is about deeply understanding what the job actually is. What are the real responsibilities? What's the true seniority level? The specific tech stack? And maybe most importantly, the business context. If you get this part right, everything else just falls into place. Let's look at a really practical example. The old way, the industry standard, it just searches for the keyword React. But a system that's driven by intent, well, it looks for patterns of expertise, things like architectural ownership or deep experience with state management. It's the difference between finding a simple mention of a skill and finding real proof of it. And let me tell you, that is much, much harder to fake. And think about this for a second. We're living in an era of AI-generated resumes that sound absolutely perfect. So how can we possibly trust what candidates write about themselves anymore? These self-descriptions are becoming pretty unreliable. Right now, more than ever, it's the objective evidence that truly, truly matters. So how is this evidence even gathered? Well, it's a multi-layered approach, which is pretty cool. It kicks off with enriched profiles that structure and actually verify a candidate's data. From there, an AI agent can conduct these really structured interviews to see how a candidate actually reasons through things and solves problems. So the final output you get isn't just what they say they can do, it's a clear, evidence-based report on their actual capabilities. Okay, on to section 3. Look, a smarter process is great, but let's be honest, it also has to be faster and broader if it's going to give you a real-world advantage. And the scale here is just immense. We're talking about the ability to tap into a global talent graph of over 800 million profiles. That completely changes the game when it comes to where you can find your next key hire. This statement really hits the nail on the head. Top talent isn't just hanging out in one zip code anymore. By having a truly global reach, you can find brilliant Python experts in Brazil or incredible DevOps engineers in Poland. It just gives you access to a much, much deeper pool of candidates, especially for those really specialized roles. And all that scale doesn't mean it's slow. Actually, it's the opposite. The workflow is streamlined to cut out the wasted time, not the thoughtful time. You just describe the role in plain language, you get an AI-sourced shortlist, you can conduct automated first-round interviews, and then you review these decision-ready reports. This frees up your team to focus on what really matters most, those final interviews and making the absolute best decision. But, all the best technology in the world is totally useless without a solid foundation of trust. And that brings us to Section 4, which is all about building integrity and a genuine sense of partnership right into the hiring process. Let's face it, the industry standard is often super transactional. It can involve some pretty murky data practices and pricing models that actually penalize you for hiring successfully. It's crazy. The alternative is a model that's built on trust, a privacy-first approach to data, a true long-term partnership where you're both aligned on the same goals, and transparent, predictable pricing that actually encourages growth instead of punishing it. So, what does this all add up to? Well, what we're seeing here is a fundamental shift in how hiring is done. We're moving away from a chaotic, reactive process to a proactive, intent-driven engine. The future of hiring isn't about AI replacing humans. Not at all. The real lasting advantage goes to the teams that can brilliantly combine the power of this intent-driven AI with experienced, thoughtful human judgment. The AI provides the clear signals, and that frees up people to do what they do best, make those final, critical decisions. So, I guess that leaves all of us with a pretty important question to ask ourselves. In a world where talent is literally everything, is our current hiring process just managing chaos, or is it truly built to win the future?